South Africa, the UK and Portugal. These are the places that Portable lived before he ended up in Berlin. With his critically acclaimed album Into Infinity, which dropped on Pearlon in 2011, it's the first time he's very consciously put his own voice to use. With influences most closely related to early US house music from Chicago and Detroit, he's managed to create more than a mere copy of this era. Far from it, in fact, and according to him, without the past, there's no future. Thus, it seems one can look forward to yet more sublime Portable tracks in the future.
I'm making house music, like based on house music, I would say. I would think it's really an incorporation of based on house music, but also my own sort of style in it, because especially at the moment, I find the house music, a lot of house music to be really boring. Really, it's really, I don't find a lot of it inspirational. And a lot of the early house music was inspirational because it stood for something at the time. Now it's just a lot of remade things and stuff that's just like a copy of stuff that actually sounded much better before, with nothing really to say. I would think of my music, although it's as a house background or house, the history comes from there. But my music is personal. I think it's something I always try and bring across in my releases and my live sets. And I always want to do that, because if I'm not believing in it, then no one else will. And I think it's really important.
I surrender, I succumb, burn my old self and welcome a new one.
The basic background is, of course, it's from the classical house sound, but it's not like a rehashing of it. It's just like, I'm not like making a nod to it, to the past, but then reinterpreting it to step into the future. So for me personally, I can't just make music just to sound completely futuristic or to sound like nothing else, because I have to have a past to be able to go into the future. And it's funny because at the moment it takes me longer to work on some music than it used to take me like a few years ago, because I'm conceptualizing. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, what I'm trying to say in the piece of music, and it takes a really much longer time now than it used to before. I always try and make the song as personal as possible for me, because it's, especially now when I'm incorporating a lot of vocals and I'm singing in a lot of my tracks, it has to be something that comes from my heart, of course. I mean, just as corny as it sounds, but it's important for me to add a personal element to it. And even if there's no lyrics in the track, if it's an instrumental track, for example, the sound has to say something for me, like the texture of the sound and the way the sounds go together and form the track as a whole.
The lights on the side, the other side of my eyes. my eyelids pulled away from you, from your world, and you said, keep on, keep on, keep on.
The lyrics are really just stuff that make me feel better, I think. Stuff that's, like with Keep On, for example, that I actually wrote when I woke up from a dream with the kind of feeling of this kind of to keep on with certain situations that I was dealing with at the time. So a lot of the times I'm writing stuff so to make myself feel better, you know, and then I would put it in a song so that I think if I'm feeling better, then someone else will feel better. And it's just a sincerity that I think that I always hope that I'll always have in my music. Of course, my sound is associated with house music and deep house stuff, but there's also this deep house sort of tag that's going around at the moment. It's just like put some chords on it and then it's deep house, you know. And I don't think it's like that at all. I think deep house or deep music is just music that comes from, that's just sincere music that comes from your heart, that you've taken time to work on, and it comes from your suffering. You know, you've sacrificed time, you've sacrificed something for this piece of music, and you can tell when it's deep. Then when you can, I mean, I can hear in a song when there's a lot's been put into that, you know. And I think that's a proper definition of deepness. I would rather stay making music that actually counts. That I want to just make music that I can listen to 20 years from now, and it would still be like out of time. It would still have some kind of integrity, and that's what I'm always wanting to do that, and I'm hoping I'm doing that. So.
Nothing worthwhile happens easily, and nothing worthwhile is going to fall from that tree.
I mean, I think if I'm putting down a track, if I've done a track, it takes me half an hour to put down something, and I could just easily just release that. But I often go back to it and think how you can make it better. The painfulness or the struggle kind of comes into the amount of time you're investing into it, and how the amount of time I'm going over the sounds, making them better, trying to find another perspective on the sound, and just investing more and more time into 4 bars, or until you know it sounds right, you know. And I think that's really like the painful part when I said it's painful creativity, because if ideas come to you too quickly, then I'm always dubious of it, and I just take a step back and I just go back to it another day.
Creation.
The best time for me also is from just doing something and just recording it and not knowing what's going to be the outcome. I think Because often I'm recording something, I think I've only got 2 hours or 3 hours and I have to go somewhere else. And I would just do something and record it and leave it and then come back to it. Like a lot of like for example, the last album on Perlon, Into Infinity, a lot of the tracks not a lot, but some of the tracks on there I did as I was just going somewhere else and I recorded it and then went back to it like months later and I found this and I thought, oh, this is a good idea, and then worked on it again. So that's just something I've learned, is always to record stuff just to record what you're doing, you know, because I think sometimes you're just playing around, you're like, oh, it doesn't sound good. And then, of course, if you're recording it and you go back to it a month later, it could sound completely different. When I'm playing live, for example, I would really feel that it would be like a kind of a mass or a sermon, because it's really everyone experiencing the same thing, like a whole lot of people experiencing the same thing. And when I'm playing live, the sound, I'm using a lot of high frequencies, and I think that really does something. It's like it really transforms people, because you get energized by these high frequencies, and I think. In a way, it is a spiritual experience, because people often when after the live set, there's a different atmosphere altogether. The atmosphere is elevated in a way, and I think that's a spiritual thing.